All right, today's lesson is really the first lesson of this unit. And what we're doing is we're substituting values into a formula to determine one unknown. So first of all, we're looking at when the formula is given. So they are telling you in the question, this is the formula. What we have to do is we have to read the question to determine what each variable stands for. Now, I have, for example, here this formula, a formula you have seen before, you have used many, many times. So in a sense, you know what each variable stands for. You know that P stands for perimeter, the L stands for length, and the W stands for width. So in this case, because you know this formula, you know what each variable stands for. So after we know what each variable is in the formula, we want to identify what numbers are given to us in the question. So we want to see whether we have the L, the length, or the width, or the perimeter. We also need to figure out, do we need other information before we can do the question? Also, we also have to be conscious of the units of measurement. Are they all the same? Are they all in centimeters? Are they all in imperial, or is there a mixture? If there is a mixture of measurements, we have to, first of all, convert those measurements. Let's look at an example. So here's our example, and it says the formula, and if I don't know about you, but I have never used this formula before. Okay, it is, C equals A over G divided by a G plus 12. I've never used it before, so I don't know what each one of those variables stands for. So this is the formula, and it's used to calculate a child's dose of medicine, C milligrams, when the adult dose, A milligrams, and the child's age, G years, are known. Suppose the adult dose of a certain medication is 600 milligrams. Determine the corresponding dose for a 3-year-old child. All right, an awful lot of information there. And so now we have to go back and we have to determine what each of those letters stand for. So first of all, let's look at this at the C. Now when we look at C, we're looking at, not that one. Well, actually, let's look at G since that one's came up for me. So G. So I go through the question and I find there it says G years are known. So I'm going to work backwards, child's age. And the child's age, G years, are known. So I know that G stands for the child's age. Then I need to look at the other things. All right, so let's look at, and I guess it's not going to click up for me. That's all right. I have the letter C. Well, C is here. C milligrams. So just like when we did the child's age, we're going to work backwards. The formula C equals to calculate the child's dosage of medicine. So C stands for the child's dosage. Now I'm left with only A to figure out what it stands for. Well, here's A, and it's A milligrams. And again, I'm working backwards for this question. A milligrams when the adult dose, A milligrams. So A, capital A, stands for adult dose. So now I have at least gone through the question and I've deciphered what each variable stands for. Now, one thing that I find is very useful is I have a C, an A, and a G in my formula. I often like putting them along the side. And the reason I do that is because then I can go through and determine what measurements I do know. Now, C. Well, C stands for the child's dosage. Well, if you look at the question, it says determine the corresponding dose for a 3-year-old child. So this actually is what I want to find. So that's my unknown. I'm solving for that C. Now A stands for the adult dose. what information numbers do they give me? It says, suppose the adult dose of a certain medication is 600 milligrams. So that means that this is going to be the 600. And lastly, the G. Well, the G has to do with, let's go back, it's the purple, the child's age. The question does tell me, it asks me to find the corresponding dose for a 3-year-old child. So this is the number 3. So you can see that this is helpful. I've got my variables listed to the right. I've gone through the question and pulled out the information. Now it's just really a matter of substituting into the equation in order to calculate. So get my writing pen out here. And so equals capital A. Well, that was 600. And when it has an AG, that means I'm multiplying. And my G here is the child's age, which is 3. And I'm dividing it by 3 plus 12. So really the only difficult part now is to make sure that I follow order of operations. I do not want to take my calculator and go 600 times 3 divided by 3 plus 12. If I do that, I'll end up with an answer of 612, and that's not what I want. So the numerator here works out to be 1800, and then 3 plus 12 is 15. When I divide that, I end up with 120. Now, as with all questions that, word questions, application questions, I have to put a therefore statement. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but you still need one. So therefore, the child needs 120, and I need to know what units I'm talking about. Well, we're talking about medication, and you can see that it's milligrams. Now, as I said, you can make it fancier. You could put 120 milligrams of medication, but that at least is sufficient in order to get your marks. Okay, stay tuned for part 2.